just David Yost.
That's great!
Does he want his own special?
Yes.
Austin St. John, everybody!
What up?
Hi! Woo!
Wow, that was the sizzle reel. You saw the sizzle reel. Thank you guys so much for coming.
You're welcome. I knew there was aliens. I feel like I'm being abducted. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't look into the light.
Yeah, they are filming Expo here right now, so that we're probably on the show right now. Yeah. Both your first time in Vancouver?
It's definitely my first time in Vancouver, so I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, and maybe our last.
Oh, boo!
We're abducted.
You better be
He
kidding.
thinks there's really aliens.
I was just looking at the light. It's a joke. It's
They
an
don't,
alien thing.
they don't see what we see.
You should sit up here for a minute. It's like blinded by the
We
light.
can't really see you guys, we just see lights. So.
It's been a few years that we've been trying to get some Power Rangers up here, and I don't know about you guys, but I am so happy that they finally listened to us and brought our childhood heroes to us, so thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody else We'll get to some of your questions, so start thinking up what you've been wanting to ask these guys your entire lives, and you'll have your moment, and you'll be nervous, just like I am. I want to start from the very beginning, though, when you guys first found out about this show. Who did you hear it from first? Did you audition? And how in the world did they pitch this crazy show to you?
Well, you're making it sound like we were like actors that they really came and sought us out. Like, oh, here's a script, we'd love you to be in this show, but it wasn't like that at all. There was an open casting call in something in Los Angeles called Backstage West, and it's just like a list of all the auditions that are going on in the city, whatever. And I saw, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I saw this listing, and I fit the character breakdown of a character called Victor, which went on to become this guy. The name was eventually changed to Jason, but so I originally auditioned for the role of the Red Ranger, and I had 3 auditions for that character, and I realized they weren't going to give me that role because they had, found this guy. And so I begged and begged and begged to read for the role of Billy, and they said, no, you do not fit the type, no. And I said, please let me read for Billy, and they said, no, thank you. And I kept begging, and they kept saying no. So I eventually, in one of the auditions, I went into the bathroom, and I wet my hair down, I borrowed somebody's glasses, I borrowed somebody's shirt and buttoned it wrong, and I went to the casting director and producers, and I said, please let me read for Billy. And they were like, okay. And, then I
Persistence.
Persistence, and then I had 5 auditions for that role, and eventually got the role. So, moral of the story, when people tell you no, but you believe something in your heart, really do everything in your power to make it happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't be Billy.
Amen, brother. Amen to that.
So heartwarming already, David. And so, how did they describe the show on paper? And did you think that they were nuts?
I never saw the show on paper. I wasn't an actor. I was in high school teaching martial arts. I was a teenager with attitude. I still am. Who am I kidding? And somebody bet me $20 that I should go for this role, and I wouldn't do it. Weeks and weeks and weeks he nagged me, and finally he's like, "Look, I'll bet you $20. You won't be wasting your time if you go do this." So I lost $20, and here I am. So that's kind of what I did. The show was originally advertised as a show called Phantoms, and my character was Victor. And I didn't even really know I didn't know anything. These guys, Dave and Walter, and the first 4 aside from me, taught me important things like, hey, when you have a line, you should face the camera.
But don't look at the camera.
But don't look at the camera. In police work, that's a clue. So, I really had to watch everybody who knew infinitely more than I did, although at 17 you couldn't tell me that. But I don't know, that was kind of my beginning.
Yeah, I mean, like when the show was described on paper, it wasn't described as the Power Rangers, your superheroes, your this, that, and the other. Really, in the beginning, it was just about the characters, and we just thought we were teenagers, like doing a show like Beverly Hills 90210 type thing. And then they started describing more about like the action, but I don't think any of us really understood the show until we actually filmed the pilot and saw the pilot cut together, and then we sort of got it.
Yeah, there was this somewhere in the audition process, I think there was like a 5-minute clip where they're, hey, this is the show you're coming from. And we all sat, or at least I did, and I was just like, what? I mean, there's Rita with really bad lip sync. Oh, I've got such a headache! I was like, I'm auditioning for this? Can I take my audition back? I had no idea, so we're the pilot.
And Power Rangers really is all about the team. So when you had the 5, and you had a different Yellow Ranger in the pilot, right?
Roger Dubois.
Right. So when you had the first 5 and even the new 5, was it important for Saban or for the director or anybody to make sure that you guys gelled? Did you do any like off-camera teamwork, trust exercises?
Well, I don't know if we did trust exercises, but, well, maybe we did. No, I'm just kidding. No, in the beginning, I think what was unique about the cast that I was with, Austin, Walter, Amy Jo, and the original, I shouldn't say original, but the first Yellow Ranger and pilot, was that we actually took the time, because we were kind of paired up in the beginning, sort of, quickly for some reason, and so like we would go to lunch during the audition process and hang out together at lunch, and we would actually practice our lines and practice the scenes, and we really spent time together, and we just had this automatic bond and chemistry, and I think that's why, we stood out, because there was actually 3 different casts, and 3 different casts went before the network in the US, and the network was going to decide which cast, whatever, but I think our cast really did gel the most, and really did have the best chemistry, and we were the most talented. So all those other actors are going to be like, listen to that jerk, man. So no, but it's a true story. We really spent a lot of time together, and we just had a natural chemistry, which was great.
So at that point, when you knew there was 3 different casts, you had kind of had to be like, this is a big deal. They've got the big guys of the networks watching us right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was 5th, 6th, I don't know, it was the last audition, and I remember walking into it wasn't this big, but it was not a small room, and they had all the heads of 20th Century Fox, or maybe it was Fox Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the television network was there, very clearly, and all of Haim Saban and his people were there, and the directors, and you walked in, and there was this very clear sense of, these are the people that are going to make or break you, no joke. And the 3 casts, the tall cast, medium cast, and the short cast, clearly we were the super tall cast. Just in case you missed that. And it was no joke. We walked in, and I remember Strath Hamilton, he was the Australian director at the time, he told us, he's like, all right guys, this is the day. I think he kind of let us know fairly early on he was pulling for us. I think he wanted us to get it. But I think there were a lot more people with their fingers in the decision pie than just him. So he made it clear to us, you got to stick with the program. Katie Wallen too. So it was very serious. I remember that.
And even there being 3 casts, the network could have said, well, we like those 4 people, but you need to get rid of that guy and bring that guy from that cast. So, it's very, very stressful because you just don't know. But you go home and you get that phone call and your life has changed. So.
If you guys have any questions, step on up to the mic. I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll come to your questions. I want to talk about It's Morphin' Time. Was this always the line?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I actually said it in the auditions. I don't remember hearing it even in the auditions. But definitely on the pilot episode, they were very clear. And I remember my first read on it, because I was an insecure 17-year-old boy. What did I know? Especially about sounding confident. Unless I was given a key eye or fighting, which I wasn't at the time. And they were like, we want you to say It's Morphin' Time. I'm like, what does that mean? What is that? What are you talking about? And then they showed us footage, and it was like my face grew into this big Tyrannosaurus. I'd be really glad that changed. Like all of our faces morphed into these funny-looking dinosaurs. It was horrible. And so they explained it to me, and pretty soon he said the magic words to me. He's like, this is your call into battle. And that changed my whole mindset on it. I was like, okay, Jason is a walk-soft to carry a big stick, but this is my it's time to get down line. So that's how I threw it out there. And I remember Strath at first was like, that's too much, what do you think? And I remember Ilan looked at me, and he's looking in the lens, and he looks over at Strath, and he's like, I like these. And Strath was like, okay. And it stuck, and that was it ever since.
And I'm not just saying this because you're here and I'm sucking up to you, but you say it the best. Watching back, right? Like watching back those original episodes, no one says it's morphin' time like Jason.
Thank you.
Right?
Years of training.
Right?
Years of training.
Let's go to your questions. This lineup's longer, so we'll start over here. Just say your name, come up super, super close to the mic. You can adjust the arm if you need to.
So my name is Matthew. My question is, where do you think your characters are today, and what are they doing now?
My character's right here answering questions. Okay. I think Jason probably would have followed a lot of what my career was. So I went on into the fire department, became a paramedic, 12 years in the DC area, and then I spent 4 years as a medic attached to military operations in the Middle East. I could see Jason doing that.
Yeah.
I think Jason and Austin aren't that far separated in a lot of ways. So I think Jason would be in service in some sort of public community wherever he could fit in.
Billy, the last time that we saw him, went off to a planet called Aquatar. So I imagine he had a relationship with an aquatarian. And, he might have half fish, half human kids. I'm on the fence about
Possible.
that. I think he probably really contemplated a serious relationship, but probably chose that it wasn't right for him. And so somehow he got involved in like a Starfleet type thing. And I see Billy as being like a captain or some kind of a leader in a, celestial force.
You haven't thought about this at all?
No, I think about it all the time.
Yeah, right.
I like that though. Yeah. That makes me so happy.
Like
Oh, I love
a
that
Captain
costume,
Kirk,
man.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's go over here.
But he didn't keep the relationship. So every so often he's got to rush back home to save the relationship he never took advantage of, because there's still that lost love.
Could be.
And then he leaves again. I'm so glad you're safe. Sorry your planet's on fire. I'll see you soon. Cheers. I'm gonna help him write this later.
Hi guys, my name's Alex, and this question's for David. I'm just wondering if you could describe any of the challenges of moving from the TV show into the movie.
I'm sorry, moving in from the TV show to what?
To the movie, the full-length movie.
Oh, I don't know that there's really any challenges per se, because we already are playing the characters. It's just we went to Australia to film the movie, so we were there for 6 months doing that, so you're away from home, so that's a challenge. But it was really amazing to be in Australia, and when you have a studio like 20th Century Fox producing the movie, you have a lot of money, and so our sets were bigger. Not us, yeah, not us personally, but the producers had a lot of money to spend on the sets and stuff like that. So that was cool, but there was no like real challenges. The only challenge that really came up for us was that the movie was only supposed to take 3 months to film, and we started filming it, and a lot of things that we filmed weren't working in what they call test groups. So they would take the footage and they would show it to kids and see how the kids would react to it, and they weren't reacting the way that they wanted, and we had a different dulcia.
What did they have against Mariska Hargitay?
There wasn't really anything against Mariska. It was just
Really?
the girl who ended up playing Dulcia, Gabrielle Fitzpatrick, was originally cast, but she got sick and had to have an operation.